Welcome to the Orgasmic Discourses podcast, where it's all about conscious sexuality and supercharged orgasms. My name is Mariah Freya. Welcome to the Orgasmic Discourses podcast show. I'm Mariah Freya, and I'm so glad to have you today. And I'm looking forward to introduce you to our special guest. She's a respected medical doctor. She's an acupuncturist and a TV host. And she's a best-selling author specializing in longevity, sex education, and life transformation. So with positive psychology and also mindfulness. She appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show and also Dr. Oz and CN and many, many more TV channels. I'm so excited. Welcome, Dr. Andrea Pennington. Hi, how are you doing?
Thank you. Oh, it's good to be with you. Thank you so much. I'm great.
So excited to have you. And on your birthday, that's so beautiful. I'm very honored to spend this special time with you. You're shining, and it's great to have you.
Well, it's really great to connect with you. I've been following you for some time. I've enjoyed your summit, so it's really good to connect with you.
Awesome. So, Andrea, I looked into your story and it's quite interesting. A few years back, actually, you were in the Dr. Oz show. It's a popular daytime TV show for anyone who doesn't know it in America. And you talked about serious diseases that is found in women, that it's often, neglected or not, treated well. And actually, you put out some really awesome wisdom. And actually, many people found it shocking to hear what you had to say on that show, because you recommend your patients to have at least 3 orgasms a week. I love that. I'm a big fan of that. So, tell us more about this. So how come you made this very bold statement in such a big TV show?
Well, you know how it is with TV. You've got to get people's attention. And what I found as a medical doctor is nothing gets people's attention more than when you start talking about sex. And it's really true that with diabetes and high blood pressure or heart disease, they're often called the silent killers. Because for most people, if they have diabetes or high blood pressure, they don't have symptoms for sometimes years until things get really, really bad. But one of the early warning signs for someone who might have something messing with their blood pressure or their blood valves or their nerves is low libido. So when I went on that show and I said, listen, ladies, if you are experiencing low libido, or you're having an inability to achieve orgasm, I don't want you to ignore it. Because many women would just think, oh, I wouldn't ever tell my doctor about that because I'm busy, I'm a mom, or I'm under stress. And they don't necessarily link it to a serious disease. And so on that show, I wanted to remind women that it could be a symptom, and you should definitely have your blood pressure and your blood sugar checked. And if you're not reaching that 3 orgasm a week prescription, then it's something you need to look into. And it just caused a flurry of emails and phone calls from women all over the world, actually, who started asking me, well, if my blood pressure is okay and if my diabetes isn't a problem, what do I do if I can't achieve orgasm? And I thought, oh no, I'm not a sex therapist. That's not my territory. But I've spent the last several years working with my colleagues in sex therapy and tantra and, all the wonderful things that you share about just becoming tuned into your body and your senses. Because once you figure out your hormones, once you get your diet working, if you're in a good relationship, there is no reason why you shouldn't be multi-orgasmic.
Right.
And when you are turned on with all of that beautiful energy and those neurochemicals, that's when you're going to be at your best. You're going to be the best mom or the best partner or the best CEO. And so that's why it's so important to me now to really help women tune in and turn on.
Beautiful. Wow, I find this really fascinating and super empowering also for other doctors, that what you did there, and what you now also putting yourself out there with a new book which stands in the background and which we talk about in a minute, and also just that boldness of simply saying, hey, girls and guys, look, like there's an issue there around low libido, and it's one of the number one signs that might be, like a slow sign or a slow pinpointer towards maybe a disease that you already have or might have in the future. And I find that very, very interesting to make that point. And so what was the reaction also from your colleagues in the medical world?
Well, I think one of the strongest things is physicians saying, I don't have time to get into all of this sexual counseling and investigation. I don't know how it is for you where you live, but right now in America, it's very challenging for a general practitioner or even a family doctor to spend even more than 10 minutes with their patients. Wow. Because they just have to get people in and out, screen for really serious diseases. So when I grew up, my mother, who is also a physician, she would spend half an hour, sometimes an hour with her patients. And that was a different era of medicine. But that was a time when you really got to know your patients and their lifestyle and what was going on that might impact their health. And it's not like that where we are in America. And so many physicians have said, I don't have time to ask a woman if she's still orgasmic or not and try to figure out what's wrong. So they would just tend to either refer a woman to a sex therapist. And then unfortunately, some women didn't want to go because they just felt like, oh, that means there's something wrong with me. And sometimes there's really nothing wrong with you. It's just a little bit of tweaking or maybe affecting your mindset and helping you, recenter that's going to turn everything back on again.
Yeah, so that effect of creating awareness in the medical world around this topic, that it could be even guiding us, towards a healthier lifestyle if we would, create that space. And obviously it's an economic system, the medical world, and it's the same in Europe as well. In Germany, of course, you have maybe maximum 10, 20 minutes with your doctor, and, last time I went to the gynecologist, he was like asking me how it was while I was undressing. So he was actually using the time while I was undressing, to get all the information. And then I just sat there, he did his thing and then went off again. So there was no time at all to actually really connect with my doctor, with my healer, I mean. So yeah. So that is very interesting. Looking at orgasms again. So you said when women came back to you after making this big statement of having 3 orgasms per week, and obviously having this pressure of, oh my gosh, now I need to orgasm. How can I do this? So let's talk about this a little bit more. You say tackling different lifestyles help us to become more multi-orgasmic. Like what do you recommend your patients to go there to and explore this whole world?
Well, once we've kind of looked at all the medical things, and again, because I'm a medical doctor, of course, I'm going to check the physical health. But if the physical health is okay, then we look at the relationship. If she is in a healthy relationship where there's a bond of intimacy and trust, then we have to go to her mind. Because if a woman is not reaching orgasm, most of the time it's because she has either a mental block or she doesn't feel comfortable in her own body. Some women tell me that they feel like they aren't entitled to pleasure, like they don't deserve to focus on themselves. And the thing that I find is that it ends up creating more distance and more tension in the relationships. So just as you were saying that a low libido could be a sign of a physical disease, having that low libido or lack of orgasm is also a kind of a precursor to relationship trouble. And so I really want to help women recognize that we are sensual, beings. It's natural and normal to enjoy pleasure, not just in sex, but in everything. So the first thing I ask women to do is just affirm your right to pleasure. That means that when you sit down for a meal, take your time and savor that meal. You work so hard, taking care of the kids and the husband, enjoy it. And if it's a tea break, take your time and be present to the flavor, to the aroma, to the way the cushion feels under you. Because when a woman can kind of tune back into her senses and her body, that's the first step for her being fully present in her intimate relationship. And that's kind of the first step. And then we can, talk about the things like you teach with, really learning to breathe and to feel that energy and roll that energy around. And that's when it gets really juicy.
Yeah. I like the simplicity of what you're saying, that it's not about all those techniques only that you got to learn. And of course, like we are born in this world, and there's no reason to believe that we are born as great lovers. So this is also a skill that we want to definitely develop, but also, that kind of sensuality that comes natural to also children. I feel especially children, there's so much in this present moment that it just enjoy the chocolate they get or whatever it is they're eating or exploring, touching and feeling and smelling. So that senses, that awareness around the senses, the sensuality in that. I like that simplicity of what you're saying, simply feeling or tasting our food in a very present way. That I feel that is a very powerful approach to that.
Yeah, because for most women, and I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and mompreneurs, and so for most of us, we stay in our head all day. We're thinking about what we have to do and where we have to be and who we have to pick up and what we forgot to buy, and so we're in our heads and we're not in our bodies and we're not fully present with our beloved. And so if we can first get back into the body, then we can start to work on what's going on in the mind. And as you know, with mindfulness, it's all about being non-judgmental, just bringing that present moment awareness, not judging it, not shoving it away. And when we can learn how to do that or relearn how to do that, then we can be more present to the way our lover looks at us across the dinner table and the way it feels when he, puts his arm around us while we're washing dishes. So it doesn't have to be that a woman waits right till the moment of sexy time, as I call it. Sorry about my little dog here.
He wants to join us, I think.
Yeah. You shouldn't wait for sexy time to be turned on. I want women to really think about and be mindful of every little cue in their environment that could be stimulating. Because then when you do get to be with your lover, it's going to be much easier for you to be in that flow and to become orgasmic or multi-orgasmic. But it really begins with that awareness and that consciousness.
When you're saying you're working with mompreneurs, so did you notice a difference from women that actually have kids and, may have not enough time to explore all of that compared, to a single woman or a woman in a relationship that, might be, running her business? Of course, that can also be time consuming and can be a baby in itself. So, have you noticed, a certain, let's say, struggle for those women that you see again and again, especially around low libido and also allowing that sensuality in their lives?
Yes, I've seen two critical things. So one is with an entrepreneur, it's just like you described. Whether they have a physical baby at home or they have their entrepreneurial baby, it is time consuming, it's energy consuming. And for many of the women that I've seen who are entrepreneurs or mompreneurs, they end up taking on a very masculine energy. It's a very aggressive, get it done. I've got to get all these things done. I have to prove to the world that I can succeed. And that masculine energy takes some time to get turned off. And so for the busy entrepreneurs or parents, what I find is they need a transition time in the evening so that they can get out of that masculine alpha energy of do, and get into that yin receptive energy to be the girl in the relationship.
What do you recommend as a specific practice, just for example?
I recommend a transition ritual, which could start off with, after the kids or the food or whatever is done, then you maybe take a hot shower or a hot bath to just sort of wash off the day. And it's like hitting a reset button. And then for the women who do have a problem with, multitasking or being in their heads, I ask that they write down everything they got done well, all the positive things they actually accomplished. Because as you know, as an entrepreneur running a business, you're never done.
No.
There's always another email, another special, another blog, and there's always more. And so as entrepreneurs, we don't often give ourselves credit for what we've done. And as moms, I'm a mom, we very rarely give ourselves credit for the good things that we do. We can be so hard on ourselves. So I ask that you write down all the things that you did well, that you actually accomplished today.
So a well done list.
Exactly. You get a little pat on the back. You give yourself a high five. You feel that sense of, okay, this was a good day. Then next you get to write down all the things you forgot. Oh, I need to go to the dry cleaner. Oh, I forgot to get apples. Oh, I have to... Things that you want to remember for tomorrow, everything that you need. But the key is to get it out of your head. So if it's on, Google Apps, or it's on an email, or it's on paper, you get it out of your head so that all that free-floating anxiety gets taken care of. And then, if something else comes up in the evening, you can write it down. But then it allows you to just say, okay, I put the day behind me. I can be present. And it's also that awareness that, okay, that was daytime. Now we're transitioning into me time. And I always say it's me before we. So before you're with your partner, you have to have your time for you to just kind of touch, feel, okay, here I am again. Now I'm ready to move into sexy time. So I'm, as a sensual woman, maybe I've had a cup of tea, or I've had a bath, or I light some candles. And now I can be fully present and think about, what do I want this next portion of my day to be like? Maybe I read a little bit of erotic literature first to kind of set the mood. Or maybe I give a massage, or I receive a massage from my beloved, so that we transition into a different energy and that different space. And
obviously we already put aside all the mental things that, were keeping us occupied in the first place by tuning into that feminine present side. So, wow. Yeah, I love that one. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, so when you decided to write a book about all that, what happened? Tell me about that moment.
Well, it happened shortly after being on that show, because when people start saying, "What's the orgasm prescription? What is it? What's mine?" And that happened in several years ago, but I didn't think it was. I just didn't think I was going to spend time writing a book about sex, because I don't want to be known as a sex doctor, because that's a piece of the message, but it's not my whole message. But last year, I was with these really amazing Icelandic goddesses. I was with Runa and Thorana and Bjerne, and we started talking about sensuality and being a woman. And someone mentioned sex. And so it was a business meeting, and all of a sudden, it turned into talking about sex.
Ooh.
and somebody kind of looked at me and said, "You need to put this all in a book." Because I had been doing research and working with people one-on-one or in small groups for many years, but I wasn't sharing it on a large platform. And that's, it was a year ago in May that I said, okay, fine. If I have this much support behind me, now is the time to bring out a message to really help women just like claim your sensuality and step back into your femininity and affirm your right to pleasure. so that you can be fully present and confident in all the gifts that you have to offer. So it's not just about hedonism or pleasure, it's about being fully alive.
So just how long is it ago that you published your book, The Orgasm Prescription for Women? Did,
It's less than 30 days. It's been
wow.
3.5 weeks that we came out with the book. Yeah.
Wow. And it's a 21 days journey that you take the reader through a process, right? Tell us more about that. What happens in this beautiful journey?
Yeah, so the first part of the book, there's lots of education on the brain and the body and Chinese medicine and how to really work on libido and get past any mental blocks. And then in part 2 of the book, it's a 21-day program. So each week is different. So the first week is all about self-awareness and just awakening your right to pleasure. And then the next week, it's all about really affirming it and kind of experimenting with it. So each day you have a ritual. You have a morning ritual where you do an affirmation and a meditation. There's breathing exercises. In the middle of the day, you do kind of an activity to put it into action. So for example, if today is the day to focus on your sense of taste, then at midday, we ask that you taste something and really savor it and be present and then get tuned back into what you really want to feel. And then in the evening ritual, once again, you do your breathing, you do your transition ritual, but then you might read some erotic literature, or you might do some journaling, or you might do some sensual touch with or without a partner. Or some erotic play. But with every one of these weeks, you're building up this energy and this awareness and this confidence that allows a woman to really be present and become even more orgasmic.
Oh, so beautiful. I definitely want to get that book and check it out. It sounds amazing.
Well, one of the things that we've done is we've put the 21 days into an audio and visual medium.
Yes.
So anyone who gets the book, you can listen to the audios so that you can do the meditations with us. You get a beautiful quote card each day. And so I'll send you access.
Oh, beautiful.
So you can do the 21 days with us and let me know what you experience.
Yeah, I'll definitely let you know for sure. Wow. So, is there anything you want to share in your last words, to everyone who's listening right now, as a last, piece of wisdom?
Well, I think, most of the work that you're talking about, which is about really taking this deep spiritual experience, I really believe that sex can become a sacred act. It is the most spiritual thing that you can do with another person. And so for any woman who's feeling a block, I say, let's uncover it. Let's discover what's blocking you, because there is no reason why any pre-orgasmic woman cannot be fully orgasmic. So let's get those blocks out of the way so that it's not about chasing an orgasm. It's about understanding that once you can do it, then you can make this sensual experience so deep. That's when you can really open up to bliss consciousness or unity consciousness when you're having an orgasm, whether alone or with your lover. And that's when things can get really expansive and can really turn a woman on to do what she's called to do in this world. My mission is really to help women step into their power so that they can, enliven and embody feminine leadership, which we clearly need right now all around the world.
Indeed,
and
yes.
So it's not just about, pleasure for the sake of pleasure. It's about turning you on so that you are the fully powerful woman that you are divinely called to be.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing this. I really hear you also in terms of stepping into this power and creating feminine leadership, and but from a new place, because I feel we've learned so much around masculine leadership in the last probably 2,000 years or even more, and So it's a lot about redefining that and understanding what it means to be in that feminine role, but in the same time being a leader. So I find that very fascinating. And you're putting an example out here as well as a medical doctor, as a published author, and you're really, sending that message to the whole world. And I feel that's really inspiring other women as well to step into their power. So I thank you really, really from a very deep place.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
So, again, if we want to check you out more, and if we want to learn more from you or want to get the book, where can they find you? What's the best place?
Well, you can check out the book at orgasmprescription.com. It's, of course, on Amazon. And you can learn more about me at andreapennington.com.
Beautiful. You can also simply check out the links in the comments below. And yeah, I would love for everyone to share what they learned in this talk. And maybe if they also have some questions for Andrea, just be free to send them to me at mariahfreya.com. And yeah, thank you so much. This was really beautiful, and blessings to everyone who's listening right now. Thanks for joining us today in this great talk.
Thank you, Mariah.
Thank you, Andrea.